All right, welcome to the third session of the day for Advanced Facebook Insights, where you will learn how to effectively measure and monitor your Facebook marketing. About me, real quick, a lot of you may already know me, but just really briefly otherwise, I'm a father of three boys that keep me really busy. This is a baseball family. I'm a big baseball fan, so are my boys, and that also means lots of coaching for me. But so that season's starting up for me right now. It keeps me nice and busy. But anyway, I refer to baseball a lot. You'll hear that. If you're a Brewers fan, you're close to my heart already. But anyway, there's a relationship between sports and Facebook. Why I bring it up as well. How I first became exposed to Facebook was in 2007 when I worked for the NBA, kind of a ridiculous job overseeing all fantasy games development, strategy, content, marketing, etc. And what's funny is you look at the NBA today as kind of like a social media juggernaut, but back then it was the 2005 to 2006 season. They did not have any message forums. They did not have blogs. They did not want them because they were afraid of what people would write about the commissioner and the owners and the GMs. And so I was lucky enough to be part of kind of that transformation. Um, but what's funny is in 2006, I had a kid walk in my office say, "Hey, you got to do something with the Facebook." It was the Facebook then. And I had no idea what he was talking about. Couldn't wrap my brain around what the heck he was talking about. Luckily, somebody figured it out. And in spring of 2007, we partnered with Facebook. That was right after it opened to the public. So it was like 50 million users at the time. Partnered with Facebook to build an app. Okay, this is back before you could build your own. And we just repurposed Facebook's March Madness app that they did for college kids into a tournament bracket challenge for for the NBA, right? And what was funny is I was one of the first, if not the first, and I may have actually created the first ever Facebook group for the NBA. So I just think back to those days and having to frantically delete messages about the commissioner because that's how we did it back then. It's pretty funny. So that's my history in terms with Facebook. I worked in nonprofit as well, but working in nonprofit and marketing. That was with the American Cancer Society. I was laid off in August of 2011. It ended up being a good thing. That's how this whole adventure started. Started my site pretty quickly. Wasn't really sure what I was going to do with it. 17 months later, I was named by Social Media Examiner as one of the top 10 social media blogs of 2013. So it has been a fun trip. And I got to interrupt because I just saw Julie's message, "Go Giants." You should know that the little league team I coach is the Giants, so it's okay. All right. Before I get going here, just real quick, if you have any questions or if there are any major problems with the webinar, I'll continue to kind of check in the questions area. But regardless, put in your questions. I will answer them at the end, unless you have something great to say about the Brewers, then I'll probably interrupt. But otherwise, yeah, I'll get to it at the end. All right, so this is what we're going to cover: the what, why, and where of Facebook Insights. We're going to take a deeper dive into the important metrics, and we're going to talk about how you can measure success. And we're going to provide some examples, some actual hands-on examples that I use that you might be able to use as well. Some third-party tools to help you make better sense of Facebook Insights, because I know it's tricky. And at the end, I'm going to have an exclusive offer, something I'm really excited about. You may have seen it already if you're on my site, but there's a special deal that goes along with it because since you're listening and watching this webinar, you're going to get a special deal. All right. So, and at the very end, we'll get that Q&A. How I roll. All right. Unfortunately, lots of text. Sorry about that. But it will be short text. I want to make it as easy to consume as possible, but I'm not a designer. I'm not a photographer. I don't like stealing photos, so I have to keep it pretty text heavy. But that said, I will step out occasionally and eventually out of PowerPoint into some examples so we can dive in and get our hands dirty. So please, no one fall asleep. So before we get going here, how about a quick poll? Just want to get a sense for where everybody's at. How often do you use Facebook Insights? Say what? In other words, you don't know what I'm talking about, and that's why you're here. Sometimes, or I'm an Insights nerd. Gotta love my Insights nerds. We'll make you all Insights nerds eventually. All right, we'll close that and get to it later. All right, so what is Facebook Insights and why is it useful? Mounds and mounds of data, big data. So I always kind of chuckle to myself when I hear people complain about Facebook. Why is it Facebook claims that they know what I like? They don't know what I like. This and that. The fact is, Facebook knows what you like. They probably know it better than you do. And I think the perception is that Facebook can't know just based on what I click like on and share and comment and stuff. Well, yeah, if that's all Facebook tracks, you may be right. But Facebook tracks every single movement you make on Facebook, every single click. So you can't you can be a passive observer, something that isn't necessarily announced to your friends, but Facebook tracks it. Did you click to view that photo? Facebook tracked it. Did you click to read that link? Facebook tracked it. Did you click just to read the comments? Facebook tracked it. So these are all things that Facebook uses to better understand what you like. But in terms of from a brand perspective, why this is so important is that Facebook can then surface that information in an anonymous way to help you understand how your fans interact with your data and who they are, where they're from, how old they are, all that kind of stuff. So you get a much better sense of what's working, what's not, how to craft your content to fit what they want. All right, so measuring success, that's really how you got to do it with Facebook Insights, and that's why you're here. This is how you determine what's working and what isn't. That's why it's so important. Now, in my opinion, Facebook is just seriously underutilized. All right. And this is the problem. People don't dig deep enough into their insights, and then they get mad when things aren't going the way they think they should, and they blame Facebook. As opposed to digging into their insights, understanding the behavior of their fans, understanding what it is they like and what they don't, knowing that they're not robots and they don't necessarily respond to, a lot of people say, well, you got to do status updates, you reach more people. Use photos, you get more engagement. Use memes, everybody engages with that. But you won't know what people actually really like unless you look into your data. So become an active participant in your results. Success takes work, though. Don't just wing it. All right. It's far too many people just kind of sit back and let the results control them. Okay. Roger was bugging me. He wanted poll results. Let's do that. So, how often do you use Facebook Insights? Say what? 11%, 59% sometimes, and 30% of you are my nerds. So, the goal is to make all of you nerds, if not by the end of this webinar, very soon. All right, so important top level metrics. Now, there are lots and lots and lots of metrics, and I consider those at least that are either most important or most followed by others to fall into two different families: reach and engagement. Okay, so let's go over those real quick. The reach family of metrics includes impressions, reach, of course, and then organic, paid, and viral, both impressions and reach. So let's talk a little bit about what those mean. Impressions, total number of impressions, obviously, seen, got that underline, of any content associated with your post or page, whether clicked on or not. This is fans and non-fans. And I underline seen here because while that's in the definition Facebook puts out, it's kind of a guess. They don't know whether you actually saw it. They don't know whether your fans actually did. And I think that's the mistake that we as marketers often make when we put a lot of a lot of emphasis on reach, thinking, this many people saw this, X, Y, and Z should have happened. In reality, we really don't know how many people saw it. We just know a surface to them while they're on Facebook, maybe on a certain part of the page. Reach. So very similar. Number of unique people who have seen your post or content served an impression, whether organically or via paid advertising. Now, so there's really very small difference between the two. Impressions is just the number of times they've been served, and reach is the number of users who have been served those impressions. Organic. This one is often misunderstood. People seem to use this interchangeably with fan reach. Not true. Organic is the users who visited your page or saw your page or one of its posts, a newsfeed or ticker. This includes fans and non-fans, essentially the natural viewing of your content. Of course, paid, pretty self-explanatory. Users who viewed a sponsored story or ad that promoted your post or page. Of course, fans or non-fans that promoted posts, stuff in the sidebar, all that business. Now, viral. Viral is one of those stats that dropped off the cliff back in late August of 2012. But it's an important stat if it's accurate. And so basically what viral is, viral reach and viral impressions, users who saw your page or one of its posts from a story generated by a friend. That could be fans or non-fans, because you could be a fan of a page, also a friend of another fan who created a story and you saw it. Okay, so here's an example of a friend of mine who likes Mumford & Sons. It showed up in my newsfeed. Now the engagement family. All right, so stories talking about this, engaged users, consumers, all stats that you should be keeping an eye on. Stories. So this is what people think of most when they think about engagement, right? So if somebody likes, comments, or shares something, it becomes a story in the news feed of their friends. Generated in the news feed when a user interacts with their page or posts content, thereby sharing it with their friends. And stories created whenever a user comments, likes, shares, RSVPs, claims an offer, checks in, etc. Now, talking about this is kind of like that comparison between reach and impressions. Stories is more on the number side, talking about this on the user side. So talking about this is the number of unique users who create a story about your post or page. So again, stories versus talking about this, very similar. Stories is the raw number of stories. Talking about this is the number of users who generated those stories. All right, now we get to the confusing part, but one I will clear up for you. Engaged users, one that we use more often than just about any other, I guess, other than reach. We talk about metrics, but I think it's one that most people don't clearly understand. All right, number of unique users who clicked anywhere within your page or content or performed an action that resulted in a story. All right, so examples of that. On the left-hand side, these are clicks that resulted in a story, right? Comments, likes, shares, RSVPs, offer claims, check-ins. Now on the right, these are clicks that didn't result in a story, but are representative of an engaged user. Link clicks, photo views, video plays, expanding comments, clicking a tag, clicking a profile link. I mean, and there are many more. But basically, it's any kind of click, but it's not just clicks. I will get to that in a second. Consumers, this is one. I wrote a blog post about this recently. No one mentions the words consumers and consumptions, but this is a term I want you to get familiar with. It's a metric I want you to be using. It's pretty darn close to the definition of engaged users. If you don't have a photographic memory, you may think I'm talking about the exact same thing here. It's the number of unique users who clicked anywhere within your page or content, whether it resulted in a story or not. There is a very, very slight difference between that and engaged users. Okay, so essentially the same thing, except consumers doesn't include stories generated without a click. Engaged users does. So, an example of a story generated without a click would be someone who checked into your location. All right. So while of course they click on something to check in, they don't click on your content to check in. And there are other examples, not a lot that come to my mind, unfortunately, but there are other examples like the Facebook actually gives when someone goes to, like, I think a friend's timeline, they see that someone liked a page or checked in or something like that, and they may hover over and like it from that person's timeline as opposed to being your page story. Now, if you dig into your metrics, you will notice there is a very slight difference between consumers and engaged users. It's close to negligible, but there is a difference. Engaged users is always more, because that's the only difference right there, is that you've got the stories without a click. Um, but you should use consumers, and here's why. Okay, use consumers instead of engaged users because much more detailed info within the insights. All right. If you dig into the post level data, there are tabs specifically for consumers, not so for engaged users. All right. For consumers, you're going to break it down into link clicks, photo views, video plays, and other clicks. And other clicks includes clicks that resulted in stories, but also all the other clicks that don't result in stories and aren't listed here. So really important stuff when you're trying to break down, how engaged people are with your content. Other metrics, oh man, there's so many other metrics. I mean, we're gonna get to some of that later, but we honestly could spend all day or have a whole course around this, which we can discuss that later too. How about one more poll? I know you want to do another poll. All right. Which metric do you consider most important? Reach or engagement? Be honest. I had some interesting results so far this morning and this afternoon. Wow, we've got just about everybody participating. Good stuff. All right, I'll get to that. I'll get to those results. Engagement versus reach. So, which is more important? Now, if you've read any of my stuff, you know how I feel about reach. I'll get to that in a minute. But I favor engagement. But there is an argument for reach, and the argument it really comes down to your own goals with your page. And my page is different than some people, so I'm looking more for clicks on my links and whatnot because I'm a publisher. But awareness is also something that may be your goal. It might be your main goal of having a Facebook page, and in those cases, reach is valuable. I mean, it's coming from the school of say TV advertising, radio advertising, billboards, things that so you get your name out and people recognize your name later. There's certainly some value in that. It's just a matter of counting it, and the value put in counting it that I'm not completely sold on is all. Why engagement is valuable? Oh man, I said engagement. You could also say consumptions, because really, to me, it all comes down to actions. This is Facebook is telling you exactly how your fans and other non-fans feel about your content, how they've interacted with it. So this gives you a true sense of the minimum number of people, at least this number of people who have interacted with your content or who your content has reached. Okay, whereas reach is more of like a fuzzy metric. You don't know if it's true or not. You know these people have seen it because they have clicked somewhere within your content. Now, one of my big issues with reach, if you read my blog post on reach reporting bug, you kind of know how I feel. But so you probably know reach was underreported beginning in the fall of 2012 and then fixed in February of 2013. I've been writing about reach for a long time in terms of how I just didn't trust it anyway. And this is one reason why you really need to follow your metrics closely, because beginning in August, like August 28th, I noticed this. I knew there was something wrong. I wasn't the only one. There were others too. I knew there's something wrong specifically with viral reach. Reach in general started falling. But even back then, I wasn't worried. I wasn't concerned. I mean, you go back and look at my posts, you'll see it. It's because I looked at the stats that I considered the stats that mattered. My engagement kept going up. Okay. So it just didn't add up. It didn't make any sense. Reach is dropping. Engagement, the stuff that I care about most, is still going up. So in the end, reach is one of those things to me. Facebook could change the reporting tomorrow, decide that they're going to report it differently, whatever. Tell you you reach 10 times as many people. 99% of people are going to be happy, even though their engagement doesn't change. So, not a big fan of reach, as you can tell. Now, advertising strategy. So, this is important when it comes to reach and engagement. Okay. So these are two statements that are similar, but there's a very important difference between the two. I advise that you advertise to reach more fans who care about your good content. Okay. So if you understand Facebook user behavior, online user behavior, you understand that edge rank or not, 50% of your fans are online every day or on Facebook every day. Of those 50%, the average user is only on Facebook for 30 to 60 minutes. Now, if you post something right now, this minute, how many of those people, those 50% who are left, are going to be on when you post it? Okay. And then how many of them are going to be on within 2 hours of you posting it? If they aren't, they are probably not going to see it. So Facebook is a moving target, whereas something like email is not. Email stationary. If you missed my email today, you may see it tomorrow or the next day. All right. But with email, we shoot for 20%. Facebook, for some reason, we shoot for more than 10 or 15%. We think we should reach everybody, which I think is crazy. So this is my long roundabout way of saying, don't advertise because you aren't reaching your fans. Advertise to reach more fans who care about your good content. Okay. So if you've reached 10 to 15% of your fans and they're engaging with it and it leads to some sort of business goal, that's a good sign that you should promote it, because users they're not robots. Okay. So when you promote it, Facebook's not saying, okay, now these people are going to engage with it. Robot fans go out and engage. They're just going to show it to more people. All right. So if your fans have already proven that they're interested in this piece of content, it's a good sign. It may go viral if you give it a little push. So instead of 10 to 15% of your fans, you might reach 30, and they might push it out even farther for you. So the mistake, though, and when I talk about this reach reporting bug and why everybody freaked out and why I didn't completely understand it, because people were advertising because they thought their content was failing to reach people. Okay. And if you have a piece of content that's getting no engagement, that is not reaching anyone, that is not the time to promote it. The time to promote it is when it's getting the normal amount of reach, could be 10, 15%, but it's actually getting engagement. And people are just focusing on the wrong numbers. If you want to read more about this, the verdict, I think you know how I feel. Reach is pretty close to worthless, not completely worthless. I don't want to overstate that. This is, again, going to be on SlideShare, so you can find this and click on that link there. But there's also a response from Emeric Ernault, who I invited to guest post on my site. He's from Agora Pulse, and he defended his argument for why reach is great. Okay. How about those poll results? So we've actually got more people favoring reach this time. It's gone up each time. The first time this morning was a big fat 0. Second time I thought was a really kind of funny number. It was 16%. That magic 16% that favored reach. Now we're up to 24. But again, there's no right or wrong necessarily on this. It really depends on your goals. I'm going to get more to that later. All right. Fan only metrics, the stats that really matter. Are they the most important metrics of all? I mean, these are the people, because again, this might go along with my feelings on reach and engagement, but I don't care so much about reaching people who aren't my fans. well, that's nice. And I want to reach them so I get more fans, basically. So I have more people who have a stronger connection to me so I can reach them regularly. All right. But it's not just the reach that I want, obviously. I want them to engage with my stuff. And I want to slowly guide them down this sales funnel, which is how many of us should be viewing Facebook. Not all of us. We've got different goals. Okay. But by looking at my fans, these are the people who are going down that sales funnel for me. Now, here's the problem. A lot of people are assuming that the data they see is related to fans only. And unless you dig into your exports, that is not what you see. For example, this is within a post of mine on my timeline. 3,076 people saw this post. That includes everybody, folks. It's not just fans. All right, so the fan-only metrics, if you aren't using exports, you don't know your fan-only metrics. So I hope you are. This is what's available to you. Post impressions, post reach, paid impressions, paid reach, engaged users, post stories, talking about this, all on a fan-only basis. No consumers and consumptions, unfortunately. So how can you find them? Post level export. We're going to dig into this a little bit more later, but it's post level export, key metrics tab, columns W through AC. All right. So now here's one that I never hear anyone talking about. There is a ton of demographic data that Facebook provides that tells you who your fans are, where they are, what countries they're in, what cities they're in. Are they male or female? How old are they? And the thing is, it's not just the people who like your page. They break it down by the people who have checked in, by the people who you've reached, by the people who engage, who talk about your content. So in which group that falls in is really important, because just the likes is far less important than what's the demographic of the people who actually engage with my stuff. And we need to focus on that so much more. So then you can actually craft your content around your target audience. All right, so how do you find that demographic info? Glad you asked. Within the web insights, it's actually there, okay? It's in the likes, reach, talking about this tabs. You'll see here, I'm transparent. I'm willing to share my data. I don't really care. You can see it. So we'll dig into a lot more of mine in a second. But this is looking at the likes tab, and you can see it broken down during the last month, the countries that they're from, cities they're from, languages that they speak, male, female split. As you can see, it's pretty even for me. And then age. So my sweet spot seems to be in that 25 to 44 range, male and female. You can also find it, though, in the page level export, and that's where really all of it is. There's a ton of stuff in there. You got 8 tabs dedicated to check-in demographics, 12 tabs dedicated to talking about this, 4 to reach, and 4 to likes, all demographic data. A lot of info, folks. One more I'm going to talk about real quick before we kind of dig in. First, look at the data, how to get it, and then we're going to talk about what we can do with it. Okay, so hang with me. Negative feedback doesn't matter. So some considerations here, understanding negative feedback. It includes non-fans, okay? So this is something that a lot of people don't get, and they think when they get negative feedback that they're upsetting their fans. In many cases, they're just upsetting non-fans, which, to be frank, who cares? Because a lot of times it's like a friend, maybe again, and I can go through this, maybe you promoted your post, right? And when you promote a post, especially non-fans, it's going to get negative feedback. If you're popular, right, and someone shares your stuff constantly, and people are constantly seeing stories about you in their newsfeed, they're gonna get sick of you. If they are not a fan of your page, they're going to give you negative feedback. If your topic is controversial, man, politics, religion, first of all, and if a friend shares that stuff, interacts with your stuff, and then they dig in and give you negative feedback. So it just doesn't matter in some cases, and you have to accept it, right? And it could even be like a demographic thing. Your target audience may be 18 to 25-year-old men, and they interact with your stuff. It shows in the news feed of their grandmother. They're like, what the heck is this? And they give it negative feedback, right? So keep that all in mind. But negative feedback also goes up when you post too frequently, and that's the kind of thing you also have to keep to monitor closely. But overall, negative feedback, get over it. It will happen. Now, not all negative feedback is created equal. The first three: hiding story, hide all, report spam. Again, that could be your fans. Hopefully it's not. Or it could be non-fans. What you don't want is a fan hiding all, because then what you have is an inactive fan who you're never going to reach. Unliking your page, honestly, is often not a bad thing. You want to track it. You want to see when people have liked your page, because you could take a look. Okay, do people unlike my page based on which post? Okay, is this post something that's consistent with my values and my goals? If it is, and people unlike your page, let them go. You don't need them. Okay, so what it does, you don't need the numbers. You need the quality, and you need a quality percentage of engagement. And one thing before I get to this, one thing people ask me all the time is, what is an acceptable rate of negative feedback? And to be honest with you, there is none. You need to determine what your own baseline is on that. Okay. So, because like I said, you could be politics, you could be religion, you could be you could be a really popular brand. I guarantee it. Look, we talk about baseball. if I'm managing the Milwaukee Brewers Facebook page, and a Cubs fan sees it in their news feed, they're going to give it negative feedback. That's something that in a way is controversial, right? So, and it's very popular to some, and other people hate it. So these are all things you got to keep in mind. But that's why you have to monitor your posts so closely within the exports to evaluate the meaning of the spikes in negative feedback. So when you do get that spike, if maybe you normally get 10 pieces of negative feedback per post and it goes up to 100, what was the deal with that post? Why do you think it happened? Do you need to change the way you post in the future? Okay, it's time to get our hands a little dirty and talk about where this info is. So we already talked about this a little bit, but there are insights, whatever, within posts. Unfortunately, this is where most people stop, and they think that's all they need to see. Of course, you also have insights within the admin panel. I think you should all know how to get there by now, but hey, we'll talk about it here in a second. First of all, within the admin panel, you got in the web version, there's post level and page level. Okay. So it's pretty self-explanatory, but post level is going to be the metrics associated with the way your fans and others have consumed your content. Okay. So your reach, your engaged users, talking about this virality. Page level is more with how people have consumed everything, your page. So it's likes, it's consumed everything. So that includes not only your post content, but it includes like page likes and check-ins and things like that. So what's in the page level side of the web version of Insights includes likes and demographics and like sources, refers, tab views, and check-ins. There's some really good data in there. So actually, let's go take a quick look. So hopefully this is coming up for you. All right. So once again, I'm transparent. I really don't care what you see. Nothing to be ashamed of, quite frankly. So this is my data. Now, a lot of people who dig into the web version of Insights go here. I'm not saying this is worthless stuff, but the problem is I think you need to have a much broader view. Okay. You can't just look at this post and say, here's a video, and I got 1,337 reach. What in the world is going on? I got to change what I do with video. I'm never posting video again. You have to, the way I do it and the way I highly recommend that you do it is export your data, 5 months of data as you can, if you can. Spikes happen, things happen. I mean, there's not a whole lot you can learn from one post. Is this reach down because of the time of day I posted it? Is it because people didn't like video? They don't want to consume video? What is it? So there's so many things that could be involved. And not to mention, um, I don't really even look at data until it's like a week old because it's not complete. Okay, so this is kind of like the overview tab. Now, like I was referring to before with the demographics, there's some really good data in here. So these are the people who liked my page during the last month and where they're from, cities, languages, and the breakdown male, female, and their ages. Okay, but something else that's nice here is the like sources. So where they come from, they liked actually on my page via mobile device. This actually may have been via an ad because I've been doing that page. If you've read my stuff lately, the promoted page type ad and focusing that only on mobile, which has been hugely successful. That's probably where that's coming from. Like box from my site and on and on. So you can get all those details. But you can also look at if it's any different, if the demographics are any different by reach. Are you reaching people differently um, based on country and cities and languages? So some really interesting data there. And then frequency. Now this is where you can start looking at, are you posting too often? And since vast majority of people I'm reaching only once, I'm not that concerned. Now these people are my friends. You people are awesome. I don't know if I've reached you 21 times during the last week, but if you haven't unliked my page, you're good people. Good people. And then down here, you've got tab views. Now, I haven't been creating any posts driving people to these tabs lately. I haven't been creating any ads driving people to these tabs lately. So I haven't spent a whole lot of time worrying about this. But when I do, which is actually probably going to happen very shortly, this is an area I'm going to look at closely. Additionally, here's how people are finding me, how people are coming to this page, referred by my website. Obviously, I've got a like box there, but also Post Planner. Thanks, guys, and Post Rocket and some other places. Now, I read a blog post the other day that, and I'm not going to name her, but someone I respect, and I get her point and where she was going, but I have an issue with it. And it was basically about how you can tell whether or not someone has bought Facebook fans. Okay. And I consider it a little dangerous in that it's based on things like if you go to someone's page and you click that box where it says likes, and it shows some top level stuff like where people came from, who engage with their content, right? So, and I think she might have misunderstood too. It's actually engage with the content instead of the people who like it. But anyway, and for me, what's funny, as you can see, the city that comes up right now as the most popular city for me is Amman, Jordan, which is kind of weird, since especially this wasn't in my top likes anywhere close. But again, it's only 11 though. So I don't think a lot of times people understand what that metric means. But anyway, besides the point, no, I don't buy likes. But anyway, um, talking about this, so this is pretty important. So this is breaking down the people and where they're from who engage with your, or actually create stories most often about your content. And that's, I feel like, way more important than where are they from who liked your page, where are the people from who you reached, where are they from who's actually making stories. The city stuff I don't really care about, and they're all really small sample sizes anyway. But depending on your type of business, I may want to cater content to people in the U.S. or in the United Kingdom, or maybe not because of these splits. And language, obviously, English speaking, you're my people. All right. Um, so that's all really interesting data to see what people are like who engage with your stuff and actually want to see it. And that's the kind of demographic information should be driving your content. And finally, check-ins, which I'm the only person who's checked in at Jon Loomer Digital, unfortunately. So. All right, so let's bring it back. Okay, page level export. There's just so much ridiculous information. I say ridiculous, it's just so much information. It's overwhelming in page level exports. Some of it is somewhat repetitive, but you get it by going into the, and I'll go there in a second, into the web version of Insights. But look, 65 tabs of data within page level exports. And the main reason for this, a lot of the data, it's the same type of data that's in post level. You'll see the same terms, same metrics, talking about this, stories, likes, unlikes, blah, blah, blah. But they break everything down by daily, weekly, 28 days. Not only do they do that within the key metrics to add a whole bunch of extra columns, they create a separate tab for each one of those. And that's really why there's just so much data within page level. But hey, let's take a quick look. Okay, so this is the page level export. Again, it's my data. It's no secrets here. So this is it's everything you need to know, really, for the most part, within the key metrics. But what's interesting, really, is when you start digging a little bit deeper. Because again, once I said this is just broken down by daily, weekly, 28 days, same old data you're used to. But now you start looking at, okay, where my likes come from. There's a like source tab for that. Viral reach by story type. So here's an example where a mention drove a crazy amount of reach for me. I'm guessing that's Mari Smith, to be honest with you. I'd have to go back and look, but more than likely that's what happened there. But so you can dig in a little bit more, look at the type of stories that generated your impressions. And then one of the interesting things, again, is the frequency, and you can start looking at total number of people you reached on each day. So, on this day, I must have posted a little bit extra. I reached 2,000 people 6 to 10 times that day. So but the problem with the page level, of course, is that you can't look at it necessarily on a post by post basis. So it's kind of tough to see, I feel like there's much more value on a post by post basis, quite frankly. But further down in the data, the kind of the back items is all the demographic stuff, all the last tabs, all the demographic stuff. Okay, but again, I spend most of my time in the post level data just because there's more. It's funny, it's kind of ironic, I guess. Even though there's more info within page level, it's the post level that has what I think is the most useful data, especially in terms of learning stuff based on the type of content you're sharing. Now, the post level I love. All right, so again, let's dive back out. It's found the same way, so I'm not going to go into like where you get it, but I'm going to go real quick because I've already talked about some of this stuff. I'm going to go real quick into some of the things that I do. Now, I just froze this pane so it's easier to view everything. But again, this is post by post. Well, a lot of this is important, the lifetime organic, paid impressions, etc. I like to focus on AC, W to AC. This is all the fan only data. Okay, so you can start getting a sense for how your fans were reached or engaged with your stuff, and I think that's pretty important. Now, this doesn't drill down too much in terms of how they engage with it, but it's a good start. Something else you can do here, I would consider. So we got paid reach and paid impressions. I would consider separating the data that was promoted from that was not, because otherwise it's just not comparing apples to apples. You can't compare the performance of a post that was promoted to one that wasn't. You just can't. It's not fair. So I would consider that. But you could also look at breaking it down by post type. So then getting a better sense of, on average, how does a link typically do? How does a status update typically do? How does a video typically do? Then you can look at it in the sense of, okay, maybe I should post more links or photos or status updates, or this is a link that clearly didn't perform very well. Why didn't it? And start diving in a little bit more. Okay. As you know, I love consumers and consumptions. So make sure you dive into these tabs. This is consumers. And so here we've got link clicks, other views, photo views, video plays, all important stuff for me because, again, I'm a publisher. So I want to know in particular, especially when I'm sharing a link, whether people are clicking on them. All right. Because if they're not, I got to take a look at what I did wrong And sometimes it's nothing. It might have been time of day. But we're going to get into more of the measurement to determine that here in a second. Hey, how about right now? All right. So, measuring success. Your goals and purpose. What is success? And so that is something that, first of all, you need to determine. Okay. Um, it's not going to be the same necessarily for you as it is for me, but that is how you should be. That should be guiding you as you're going through your data. So, again, I'm a publisher. I care about link clicks. So, I'm going to be tracking my consumptions very closely and going through to determine which links are generating that type of engagement or consumption. But maybe you have your page for the purpose of customer service, and in that case, engage users and consumers, broadly, it might be more important to you. Or maybe your page is for the purpose of brand awareness. In that case, reach may be most important to you. All right, so here's some. Oh, where do we go? Just a minute. It happens. It happens, folks. Okay. So some stats to check and compare. I mean, these are some things that I look at. First of all, I would analyze several months of data. Okay, not just a single month. And then start looking at consumers by post type. Stories. So this drills down a little bit each time. Stories by post type. Shares by post type. So then you can start looking at, first of all, which post types generate the most of each. But also then you compare, all of your posts that are links, all your posts that are photos, etc., to one another to determine, what worked within those photos, what didn't work within those photos, what worked within links, and what didn't work within links. Okay. And then, of course, I do look at negative feedback as well, but I make sure it's apples to apples. Then you can determine trends. Okay. So some analysis considerations. Do you promote posts? I talked about this a little bit before. I would strongly consider, especially if you don't promote everything. I mean, an exception would be I promote everything and I promote everything for the same amount of money. In that case, maybe you compare everything. Don't worry about separating anything out. But otherwise, if you promote inconsistently, you need to start separating that data. You got to compare apples to apples. All right, some recommended ratios I look at. Consumers. It's just one of my favorite metrics. Now, this one is a little tricky for me because they're not related closely enough. But I need to compare consumers to something, and there isn't fan level consumers, unfortunately. And I don't really want to usually compare consumers to reach, although I'll talk about that as well. But consumers versus page likes is one of those things I will look at to determine, what the relationship is between how many consumptions I'm getting or consumers I'm getting per page like to determine the success of a page post. Now, there are a ton of fan level ratios that I look at. Engaged fans, fan impressions, fan reach, fan stories, fan talking about this, all compared to page likes. So what percentage of my fans did X? What percentage of them engaged? How many of them did I reach? Which, again, that's going to be further down my list in terms of priority, but I'm going to look at all those. And then again, back to consumptions, yes, I will look at consumptions versus impressions, consumers versus reach, determine what percentage of those reached, click on a given post. Okay, now, before I get to the third-party tools, so I did create something months ago called the Facebook Insights Helper. It's a free spreadsheet that I created. You just grab everything that's within your key metrics, you paste it into this spreadsheet that I created, and it spits out a whole bunch of graphs and stuff to make it a little bit more visual for you. Now, granted, it's not all the data, but I think it's pretty helpful. It makes it much better, easier to consume. I've heard some things that's not necessarily, it needs to be fixed right now. That said, if you subscribe to it, I'll make sure once the update's available. So if you go to my site and search for Facebook Insights Helper, you will find it. Make sure you check it out. It will help you. Now, the third-party tools. So once again, this is all gonna be on SlideShare, so you can click on these links when you download the tool, or excuse me, download this presentation. But here are my favorites. Agora Pulse, really good for not only the metrics, but it's kind of like an all-purpose tool for creating tabs, creating apps, and publishing. So really cool tool. And they also created something recently called the Barometer. So that's barometer.agorapulse.com, where you can compare, you benchmark your page, you compare your data to that of pages like yours. So you can determine, so then you can kind of get a better sense for how is my engagement compared to other pages like mine. How's my reach, if you care about reach and virality, etc. EdgeRank Checker, Page Lever, Quintly, believe all of them have free options as well as pay. Wow. Can I take a deep breath? Man, that's it. But just a second, hang with me. A couple things. So how to find me, if you don't know how to find me already, jonloomer.com. Subscribe to my newsletter. You go to make sure you like my Facebook page. You can follow me on Twitter. I use Twitter mainly as a curating tool. So um, I'm not on there all day. I always preach not to spread yourself too thin, and that would be a case of spreading myself too thin if I was on there a lot. But what I do is whenever I read something I like, I push it into Buffer or whatever to push it onto Twitter. So if you want to keep up to date, that's how I do it. Reading those things that I share, those, make sure you read those. Or send me an email if you have any questions at john@jonloomer.com. Now, something I'm really excited about. If you've read my stuff today, you know that I've put out a whole new product. And this is the first time I put out a product in a while, so I'm really excited about it. But what you wouldn't have known by reading that post is that if you watch this webinar, there's actually a special deal. Okay. So it's called Facebook Insights Exclusive Workshop. It's truly exclusive, maximum of 20 members who will be allowed in. And it's just going to be for the entire month of April. So if this was a little bit too dense, a little bit too much to squeeze into an hour, we can make you fully proficient in Facebook Insights within 30 days. Okay, so there will be 2 small group workshops, 2 one-on-one coaching sessions where you and I sit down and talk about your data, your obstacles, and how we can attack your content and your approach. Also, daily email tips that will provide a tip of the day that will build throughout the month, along with tasks asking you to perform. And it's kind of like a bonus. I will do a Facebook page review at the very end to give my recommendations on what you should do with your page. Now, publicly, that is now $497. Your price for listening to this webinar, available through the weekend, is $397, which is $100 off. So make sure you check that out. Just go to jonloomer.com/shop/workshop and use the redemption code FB Insights. Wow. Okay. Man, this has been a long day. All right. So let me sort through your questions. So we still have plenty of time to answer them. And so hang with me. I unfortunately don't have an assistant who does this for me. So let me go through them. There are a bunch of them. All right. So hold on there. So this question from Antonio: does the people talking about this metric show figures only of your fans, or also includes your fans' friends? So there is a fans only metric for people talking about this within post level data, but otherwise, if it's not specified, it includes everybody. There's a long question in there, Tracy. I really can't get into it now, but oh boy, I'll address it. Who cares if you buy fans? It's, first of all, okay, you got ethics, and you may not think it's an ethical issue. Well, if people find out you bought fans, you're screwed. All right, especially if you're a big brand, they are gonna throw you to the wolves. All right, and I don't want to be involved in anything like that. But second of all, if you buy 5,000, I guess I did get into this, didn't I? If you buy 5,000 fans, you got to understand how Facebook surfaces your data. All right. They're only going to surface your data to people who care about it. And if if your users show Facebook that a very low percentage of people care about your data, which is going to happen if you buy fans because they're fakes. And don't tell me they're real. Please don't tell me they're real. It's just going to hurt you, and you're not even going to reach the people who do care. Not smart. All right. And I'm not sure why I keep getting this argument. I think the only people, I'm not going to say you necessarily, Tracy, but I've had a bunch of people comment on my post about buying likes, who then, of course, only what they do is provide a link back to how you can buy it from their service, and it drives me crazy. All right. Off my soapbox on that. Let me see what else we got here. You know, Alessandro has an interesting question. What types of businesses is reach more important for than others? Low cost service or product? Low barrier to entry or wide interest? I mean, in my feeling, is it like if you're a small brand, local business, um, reach, look, if you reach 10 million people and they're all in France and stuff, and you're located in LA, it doesn't matter a whole lot. Now, reach could matter if you target your data only at people locally and your reach is high. That could be good. But ultimately, what you want as like a smaller business is people checking into your business, right? You want them to like your page so that you can remind them of your special deals. You want to be able to send them Facebook offers, and they come in and eat at your restaurant. So I would say typically on a small business, you're looking more at engagement. It's people who are looking to build more of a higher profile, big business where you're always top of mind. Big brands, reach may be more important. It's my opinion. Oh boy, let's see here if we got anything else. Okay, there's several in here. Okay, hold on one second. Sorry, there's some long questions in here. Interesting question. One of our clients is a shopping mall. The stores that rent space there push promotions to post on Facebook. That's the type of content that generates much less engagement than lifestyle posts on the page. What do you suggest when a certain content type keeps generating less engagement, but your client insists on posting it? Well, I mean, you got to measure success first of all. All right. So if you're shopping mall, um, and you're sharing promotions, what's happening with those promotions? Are you tracking that success? Okay. Are you turning that into an ad? Are you having do you use an offsite pixel? Do you use Facebook offers? What are these promotions? Because low level engagement doesn't necessarily mean no success, depending on what your goals are. If you're posting these promotions and then resulting in sales, but less people are interacting, it's not necessarily a bad thing to mix those in. Now, should you be posting those only? Probably not, right? You still want to get the engagement so that you actually reach those people. So I think what your argument should be, talking this through, my friend, is that you cannot reach your fans with a promotion unless you also mix in posts that they engage with. Because what Facebook will do is decide that if they are not engaging with your stuff, they will not show your stuff to them. So if you have this great promotion, they're not going to see it. That said, if you put in some lifestyle stuff that they're interacting with, they're liking, they're commenting, they're clicking on, then when you have that promotion, Facebook's going to show it to them. So that would be my suggestion. Oh, okay. Good question. Kate, I saw one of your blog posts last year and says You're experimenting on strategically posting on certain times, 7 p.m. and 2 a.m. Did your 2 times posting of same content work out to get negative results? This was the funny thing about that experiment. I did not get more negative feedback by posting more often. So, what Kate's referring to is in addition to my regular posting schedule, which I'd always post like my newest blog post of the day in the morning, and then I might post something random in the afternoon. But I would schedule some stuff out late at night for me to reach people overseas. And what I found was my reach, my engagement went way up. My negative feedback didn't change. And I think there's a good explanation for that. And that knowing the behavior of people on Facebook, there's no one on who's on 24 hours a day, or very few people are. And so most people who see my post, and I was spreading it out by 4 hours, 6 hours, 8 hours. So most people who saw my posts only saw one post. They didn't see four posts. Okay, there were four different posts. Don't get me wrong, but so they weren't annoyed because I wasn't posting them one after another. So yes, that is a strategy I'd absolutely recommend you take a look at. Post more frequently. When I say more frequently, more times in a day, but not necessarily close together, right? And then take a look at it, monitor, see if your negative feedback goes up. If it doesn't, and your reach and engagement are going up at the same time, you found something. Okay. Andrew, good question. What do you say to a client that says he doesn't want to post more than 1 to 2 times a week because he doesn't want to be annoying? If you don't post more than 1 to 2 times per week, you're not going to reach anybody. Okay. Your target user is someone who actually cares about your stuff. Granted, there are people who like pages, and a lot of people don't want to acknowledge this, who do not care if they receive any content from you. They might not freak out if they never hear from you. They're not going to be annoyed if you post once a day. The misconception is that everyone is on Facebook every day, 24 hours a day, and they're going to see every post, and that's simply not true. If they're on, uh, if you post once or twice a week, what you should do is show them your stats, how many people they're reaching, and how much engagement they're getting. That's really the key, because they're not going to be reaching anybody, and since no one's engaging with your stuff, Facebook's not even going to show your stuff to them in the future when they do post. You need to post much, much more often, stay top of mind. You know what? I think, yeah, we're a little bit past the hour. So unfortunately, that's going to be it for now. Oh, man, I'm sorry I couldn't get to everybody's questions. But thank you so much for spending this evening with me, or morning, or afternoon, or whatever it is for you. If you have any more questions whatsoever, whether it's about this or about my new program, feel free to email me at john@jonloomer.com. Hit me up at my Facebook page. You know where to find me. All right. So until next time, do awesome things. I'm out.